We're good.
All right, get my gavel up, make it official. And good morning. I'm going to go ahead and call this session of the City of Issaquah Hearing Examiner to order. For the record, today is October 3rd, 2022 at 10 a.m. We have one item on the agenda this morning. This is number PA 22-00001, involving a request to modify the impervious surface table on the recorded plat drawing of the Mallard Point plat, a 34 single-family residential lot plat, and that involved the subdivision of approximately 13 acres of land that was approved last year by me, I believe, at property at 21403 Southeast 43rd Way. My name is Andrew Reeves. I'm a hearing examiner with Sound Law Center, and today it will be my role to collect evidence in the form of exhibits and testimony to determine, in this instance, whether the request would comply with the final plat alteration provisions and process of our State Subdivision Act in Chapter 5817 of the Revised Code of Washington, as is further detailed in the attorney memoranda that was prepared by the city in advance of the hearing, and I think further discussed in the application materials. So to that end, I received, I think it ended up being 11 exhibits in advance of our hearing today that I had an opportunity to review. These include a plat amendment application and project narrative prepared by the applicant, the proposed final plat sheets themselves, the original hearing examiner findings, conclusions, and decision from my colleague Ted Hunter back in 2017 related to the preliminary plat, the hearing examiner final plat findings, conclusions, and decisions from me back in January of last year, the memorandum from Issaquah City Attorney that I discussed, and then information on the notice that was provided in relation to the application as well as today's hearing. And then I was provided a comment letter that was received on Friday from an area resident. And so those are the 11 exhibits I reviewed in advance of the hearing. Should anyone have additional exhibits they would like admitted into the record, let me know when it's your opportunity to testify, and I'll address submitting additional exhibits at that time. Speaking of testimony, all testimony will be under oath or affirmation, just in case there were an appeal of any decision that is made. The recording or recordings of today's hearing, as well as the admitted exhibits and the decision I produce, would serve as the foundation for any such appeal. Let's see. And I think that's it. And then the order that we typically follow, and we're going to follow today, is it sounds like staff does have a PowerPoint presentation of some kind that they are going to share with us. So I'll swear in staff and hear from them. And then after that, we'll see, we'll see if the applicant has any testimony that they would like to provide in advance of my making a decision on the proposal. And then if there are members of the public interested in testifying, either in person or remotely, we'll check and they would have that opportunity. And then at the end, if appropriate, we'd go back to the applicant and city staff to respond to any such testimony. We're trying this out in a hybrid format here in the city of Issaquah for the first time. So some of us are participating remotely and some in person. And so there may be technological challenges, but I promise we'll get through them as we work through this. With that, I'm going to turn to Valerie Porter on behalf of city staff, who I believe will be presenting the PowerPoint today. Is that right, Ms. Porter? And there we
Yes,
go.
that's correct.
Okay, so I'm going to swear you in. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in the testimony you give here today?
I do.
And if you could just state and spell your name for the audio and then explain your role here at the city.
Valerie Porter, Valerie, last name Porter, Porter, and I'm the associate planner with the Community Planning and Development Department with the city.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Porter. And did my explanation of the exhibits you were hoping I would review in advance of our hearing make sense?
Yes, very accurate.
Okay. And did you want to add your PowerPoint as Exhibit 12?
Yes.
It's up to you. Okay. We'll make staff PowerPoint Exhibit 12, and I will let you go ahead and launch in with that.
Great. Thank you.
So I am seeing the screen. It's not fully launched as
Yeah,
the PowerPoint.
trying to get there. Here we go.
Valerie, this is Chris. There you go.
Sorry, 1 second. All right. So today we're here to talk about a plat amendment for the Mallard Point plat. This project was previously reviewed by the hearing examiner. So as a quick refresher, this site is located on the east side of Southeast 43rd Way and East Lake Sammamish Parkway Southeast. It's located in the Providence Point sub area. The zoning for the project is multifamily high, and the land use is multifamily residential. So the site area, the project area is approximately 13.1 acres. As the hearing examiner previously mentioned, this project has been gone through the preliminary plat and the final plat process. And so the final plat was approved, allowing the applicant to subdivide the parcel into 34 single family homes. So as part of the preliminary plat condition, there is a condition stating that an impervious surface table is required on the final plat to show the impervious surface allotments throughout the site. The applicant provided a table on the final plat sheets that have been recorded. And again, as the hearing examiner previously stated, this seems like a very minor modification, but unfortunately the city's Issaquah Municipal Code does not have a process for modifying or altering a plat. And so this project is being brought before the hearing examiner. Again, exhibit or attachment 6 in the staff report explains our justification as to why we believe it should be a hearing examiner decision. So during the final plat process, the applicant did provide an impervious surface table that was reviewed by staff and approved by the hearing examiner. But once the project got into the building permit review, the applicant requested to modify 10 lots to increase the impervious surface allotment. The site is required to cannot exceed 286,071 square feet. The applicant is proposing to only use 104,160 square feet, which is well under the required amount. So we have no concerns. So prior to this, or for this application, public notification was provided in accordance with Issaquah Municipal Code. A notice of application was sent out in May 2022, and notices for the hearing were mailed to property owners within 300 feet, posted in the Seattle Times, and a sign posting all occurred on September 23rd, 2022. Staff recommends approval of the plat amendment with the standard conditions. At this time, I'm going to take any questions.
Sure. So working backward, I guess, the standard conditions, those are the 4 conditions that frequently we see in relation to a final plat. Is that right?
Correct, because they would need to re-record.
Got it. Okay. Okay, and then in terms of, I think you covered it, but just to flesh it out slightly and make sure I'm clear. So essentially, as a condition of plat approval, this impervious table was required, the table was recorded, and then further along in the actual site development process, some alterations occurred, minor allowable alterations, but alterations occurred that sort of changed what the numbers in the table ultimately ought to reflect, and none of those changes put them anywhere close to meeting that maximum impervious surface amount, but we want the final recorded table to reflect what exists on the ground. Is that an accurate way of trying to wrap my mind around it?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Well, and again, this is unusual to the extent that, as is indicated in the materials, and as you explained, there's not a process that is, envisioned in the municipal code under state law and the Subdivision Act. It's a fairly straightforward process, and I think the staff report and your PowerPoint and discussion just now sort of clearly delineated what had to occur, and it appears that that has happened. So I don't actually have any further questions for staff. Do you have any other staff members you were intending on calling upon, Ms. Porter, before we see if there are others interested in participating?
Nope, not unless you have any questions, but nope.
Okay, well, we do have the applicant representative here. So, Mr. Suber, thank you for being here. If we could just call you up momentarily. And thank you. I'll swear you in. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in testimony you give here today?
I do.
And if you could just state and spell your name for the recording and explain your role here with this project.
Yes, my name is Leo Suver. That's Leo Suver. I'm the president of Steve Bernstein Construction, and I'm here on behalf of our company representing this project.
Okay, great, thank you. And so I think, as is clearly explained in the materials, this is somewhat unusual, but also somewhat straightforward. So just wanted to give you an opportunity if you had any additional thoughts, information, clarification you wanted to provide related to this project.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Examiner. Just a few minor comments. This is a very minor alteration of the final plat. What we are proposing is to take some additional impervious surface area from one larger lot within our development that will never be used, and to redistribute smaller portions of that same impervious surface just to several other lots that would benefit from that greatly in the design of the home that we intend to build on those lots. We own all of the lots in question. None are under contract. None have been marketed to anyone pending the resolution of this request. So the lots in question are lot number 2 through 12 that have roughly that are being amended. There's a total of 10 lots. And again, there's no net increase in overall impervious surface that was originally approved under the original final plat of this project in the table that Ms. Porter had previously shown.
Great. So that larger lot is protected, if I remember right, either a critical area lot of some kind, and essentially you're removing that impervious from there, and having it accounted for and used in developed lots. Is that sort of an accurate assessment, Mr.
Yes,
Suber?
that's exactly right.
Excellent. Okay. Well, from a sort of my review and ecological standpoint, and I believe the one comment letter we got from Connie Marsh said the same thing, which was, better to remove that, those impervious surface, better to remove that from the larger protected lot. So no issue on my end. Thank you for taking the time to be here. I don't have any further thoughts, clarification. Am I correct in thinking that the sort of 4 standard conditions that have been recommended, no concern related to those?
None.
Okay. Great. Well, then I don't have anything further. And again, I do thank you. I know this is a sort of a strange and minor, but important that we do it right. So we do appreciate you taking the time to be here and participate. So thank you. Do you have anyone else on your team you intended on calling on or that you see as signed on today?
No. As far as I'm concerned, I'm the only one here that'll testify on our behalf.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Suber. No further questions for you.
Great.
And then we have, I see one person identified as staff and then 2 other folks, Christian Gates and Emily Appleton. I don't know if they're staff. Oh, I'm getting nods that they are. Okay. So am I correct then, Ms. Porter, in thinking we don't have others we need to call on that have joined us virtually? Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And no one further in the room, Ms. Bear, other than Mr. Suber? Getting the no one in the room. Okay. Anything fine? Thumbs up there. Okay. Anything final you wanted to add on behalf of city staff, Ms. Porter?
No, I do not.
Okay, well, based on what I reviewed, what I've seen, and the fact that, I have reviewed this at length, the plat itself previously, as well as my colleague Ted Hunter years earlier, I see no concern or issue. I really do appreciate folks figuring out the right way to do it and taking the time to do it right, just so we don't have any problems. Always better to try to accomplish things in that manner. So I appreciate it, but my intent is to issue a decision here in the next 2 weeks, essentially approving this request to alter the final plat. I hadn't thought this through. Does it need to go to council, or is it going to be done as soon as I'm done?
It's done as soon as you issue your decision.
Okay, good. I'm sure the applicant's glad to hear that as well. So my intent then, again, I'll issue my decision in the next couple of weeks approving this, and that change can then be made and re-recording. Clearly won't involve any change on the ground, just get the paperwork done and everyone can move forward. So I think with that, we can conclude our hearing today. Just to clarify, ultimately it was 12 exhibits along with the PowerPoint, which I think has already been sent to my office electronically. So we can end our hearing today. I thank everyone. Happy to stay on for a sec if there's tech issues anyone wanted to talk about, but I think we can conclude the meeting. And as a first time hybrid meeting goes, I think the city of Issaquah staff did a great job. So with that, we'll end things. Thank you, everybody.